The biggest lie in jiu-jitsu is that submissions are about catching people. They're not. They're about leading people. You show them one danger, they run from it, and in the escape, they walk straight into the real problem. That's not trickery, that's the art. Today, we're going to talk about learning to string attacks together so you can get out on the mat and start painting like bloody Picasso. I'm Hadrian, a jiu-jitsu black belt, coach, and former competitor. I'm also deep into middle age, up to my neck in work, family, and life. And I'm going to share with you some of the practices and strategies, some of the philosophies that keep me competitive, healthy, and learning on the mat. Most people think submissions are about spotting an opening and grabbing it before it disappears. They see a neck, they jump on the choke. They see an arm, they dive on the armbar. And that works sometimes. But against anyone experienced, anyone calm, anyone with decent defensive instincts, that approach starts falling apart very quickly. Because if your submission game depends on finding one clean opening and forcing it before your opponent shuts the door, you're going to spend a lot of time chasing things that aren't really there. The real game is deeper than that. The real game is creating reactions. It's understanding that the easiest time to catch a submission is not when your opponent is calm, balanced, and fully aware of what you're doing. It's when their focus is committed somewhere else. It's when their hands and their posture and attention are all tied up dealing with one problem, and in solving that problem, they unknowingly expose themselves to another. That's where clean submissions live. A simple example is the collar choke from mount. Let's say you feed in the grip and begin threatening the choke. Naturally, most people's attention goes straight to their neck. The hands come up, they try to strip the grips, peel your wrists away, make room to breathe. And in doing that, they often give you exactly what you wanted in the first place. Their arms become isolated, elbows drift, and suddenly the armbar appears. Not because you gave up on the choke, because you're really threatening that choke, but because the choke did its secondary job. It forced a reaction. And that's the shift. You're not just attacking with a submission. You're using one submission to shape your opponent's behavior. You're asking a question that makes their answer more predictable. Once the answer is predictable, the follow-up becomes even easier. Now, that's really the essence of the submission game in jiu-jitsu. Not just making someone tap, but guiding them into a blind alley where defending one attack leaves them vulnerable to another. You lead them into a place where every available choice carries a cost. They defend the neck, they lose the arm. They save the arm, they expose the back. They turn to escape one danger and walk straight into the next. The right move becomes, inevitably, the wrong move. Now, one of the biggest mistakes I see people making is treating submissions like isolated events. They learn a choke, they learn an armbar, they learn an Americana, but in their head, each one is separate. So they attack one thing. It fails, they reset, then they go hunting for something else. That's exhausting. It burns energy, it slows your timing, and it makes your attacks feel obvious. Against better people, it also makes you very, very, very easy to read. What you want instead is connection. Complementary attacks, one threat flowing naturally to the next. So instead of asking, how do I finish this one move? Ask a better question. If they defend this correctly, what does that give me? That one question will sharpen your submission game more than collecting 20 new submissions off Instagram. Because from mount, for example, you're not just thinking collar choke, you're thinking collar choke to armbar, armbar to triangle, mounted attack to back take if they turn. Now you're not relying on one move being perfect. You're building a chain where every reaction starts opening the next door. That's when your game begins to feel less like forcing and more like steering. And that matters even more as you get older, because if you're over 40, the last thing you want is a submission game built on explosion, speed, and repeated high effort retries. You do not want to be launching yourself at low percentage attacks and hoping your attributes carry you through. You want economy, you want leverage, you want timing, You want your opponent's defensive habits doing half the work for you. That's not lazy jiu-jitsu. That is jiu-jitsu. And that's why I created my Roll Forever cheat sheet. It's a free resource which offers 7 simple cues you can plug right into your next session to roll stronger for longer. Warm-up primers, between round resets, post-roll recovery cues. It's a mouthful. It's all in there. Check the link below and make sure you double check your inbox, because I've included a little gift to help you go even deeper into your longevity journey if that's something you're thinking about. Again, the link is below. So next time you roll, stop obsessing over whether the first attack gets the tap. That's not always the job. That's not always its job. Sometimes the first attack is there to occupy the eyes, the mind, the hands. Sometimes it's there to create urgency. Sometimes it's there to make your opponent commit to a defensive choice that reveals what they were trying to hide. If you start seeing your submissions that way, you'll notice opportunities that used to pass you by. Because the best submission hunters are not just aggressive. They can be, but they're not only aggressive. They're deliberate. They understand sequencing. They understand cause and effect. They understand that a threat doesn't have to finish the fight to still be successful. It only has to move the opponent where you want them to go. That's the deeper layer of the game. Not random submission hunting, not snatching limbs and necks because they happen to be in front of you, but learning how to guide someone into worse and worse and worse choices until the finish becomes almost inevitable. So the takeaway is simple. Don't think single shots. Think linked threats. Think misdirection. Think blind alley. Start seeing submissions not as isolated techniques, but as conversations where one question leads to the answer you were hoping for all along. Because in the end, the best submissions often don't feel like you even caught someone at all. They feel like you led them there. In the meantime, train smart, stay dangerous, roll forever. While you're here, check out this video next, where I discuss the 5 things that have helped me stay healthy and relatively injury-free on the mats as an older geezer. I'll see you there.